Welcome to Conversations Below the Surface, the CBS Podcast Shorts. I am your host, Marcus Gentry, and we hope you enjoy this episode. I'm always trying to come up with ways to be a little bit better than I was yesterday, the day before. And some of you out there are on that same path. You want to be a little bit better to try to find success. And so I look at things I have done, I haven't done, what worked, what didn't work, but I watch the examples of some other people. And some of the people who I have connected with, interviewed, talked to, spent time with, they didn't all go to training classes on leadership or motivational speeches or things like that. Some did, many of them didn't. But they practice certain things that seem to be consistent with people who are successful. So I've extracted some things, and this is part of what I do. I'm always extracting material and information, studying, research, what can help make me better and possibly can make somebody else better who is struggling trying to accomplish something the same way. So I've looked at some of the things that seems to be consistent, and I've created something I call the 3D approach to success, 3D approach. So what I want you to do is think about something that you want to accomplish. Maybe you have tried it, maybe you're trying it now, maybe you plan to try it in the future. Take a listen to this, see if it could possibly help you. The first D stands for desire. So I've discovered with people, wherever they come from, if you don't have a strong desire to want to do something, then you can go through all the motions. It's never going to come together because your desire is not just that strong. You can look at the last week, the last month, think about what you actually did to try to accomplish what it is that you want. I've talked to a lot of people, even on the health journey to get healthier, and I'll ask them the question, well, did you do this? Or they may tell me they know what they need to do, but they're not doing it because the desire is not that strong. So desire is a big deal for getting on the path of really accomplishing what it is that you want to accomplish. What fuels that desire is your purpose, knowing why it's important. If you don't really know on a depth, a heart level, of why it's so important, you won't go through all the steps to make it happen. So you might say, yeah, I have a desire, I want to do it. But if it's not that high, if it's not high enough, then it won't be the tipping point that will trigger you to do all that's necessary to accomplish that goal. So you have to think about not just having a desire, but having a high level of desire for wanting to accomplish something that you say is important to you. When your reason is solid, when your reason is strong, not you doing something just because, well, my husband thinks I ought to, or my wife thinks I should, or my family thinks I should do this, or my friends say this is a good idea, or I've seen something on TV about it, or the doctor says I should, until you feel and you have a strong understanding of why it's important that you accomplish this and you want that, or what you want to avoid, then it won't fuel the desire for you to do what has to be done. So that passion, that desire, the first D has to be very, very strong. The second D is discipline. And that's, in its simplest form, that's the determination, the willingness to do what has to be done because it has to be done. Not because it's easy, not because it's comfortable, not because it's familiar, but because this is what needs to be done. That's what discipline means, because you know there's a greater good that's involved. Now, some of it may have to do with your level of discipline, may have to do with how you were raised. Were you raised in a disciplined environment? Did you watch discipline coming up? I did. My parents were very disciplined, and I watched examples of them get up on cold mornings and do things that maybe other people weren't willing to do, or when it was hot outside, still doing what had to be done. So I saw a lot of examples in watching my parents go through life, do things that was necessary, and they instilled that in me. Something as simple as eat your vegetables. And I say, well, I don't like them because I didn't like vegetables when I was younger, right? Say, well, that's all right. You're not eating it because you like it. You're eating it because it's good for you. And they would do the same thing as far as taking your medicine. Don't worry about whether you like it or not. You take it because it's good for you. So I didn't understand that was teaching me discipline to do what's necessary when it's necessary, not just because it's comfortable or good to me at that moment. But it was a quality that I learned later to build on and apply to some other areas. Discipline to listen and to learn. We don't know everything. So somebody else might know something that we don't know. So the discipline to just sometimes shut up and be quiet and listen to what somebody else might have to say that just might help you learn something. And you don't have to always tell everybody how much you know. I knew this and I knew that. Discipline enough just to be quiet, listen, learn. Fight against those things that could be distractions. Fight for what's important, uh, which includes people, places, and things. Stay focused because we're in a world filled with distractions. There's a lot of things that can distract us and get us off course. So we have to stay focused and follow through. Means commitment. That means staying in and not being so quick to tap out. Being committed, being determined, having that inner grit to do what has to be done. That's what discipline is about. It's a different level of determination. It comes from the inside. Doing what has to be done, when it needs to be done, because it needs to be done, not just because it's comfortable or easy or comfortable. Discipline, major piece. The third D. The third D is direction. You need to know where you're going. You have the desire and you have the discipline, but you're heading in the wrong direction. You're still not going to be successful. These are people who end up accomplishing something, but they aren't. At the end of it, they're not happy. They got a new job, but man, I don't feel better. They bought a house, they bought a new car, they got a raise, they got married, they got divorced, they had children, they did all these things, but at the end of it, they don't feel good because they lost their true direction, because where they were really going is to a place of peace, maybe. Maybe where they were really trying to get to was to have contentment, to have joy, to be happy, to find something in their life that's meaningful, not just following the crowd doing somewhere else, knowing what your direction is, or as some thought leaders describe it as your true north, where it is you're ultimately trying to go. We say, well, I ultimately want to get more money. Well, what will the more money bring you that you ultimately want? What direction do you have to go? Because you don't want to spend your time spinning your wheels, because we only have so much time in this amusement park of life. And you want to make sure that you're heading in the right direction. So you might need to adjust directions, or as I said in one of my earlier videos, adjust fire, because your direction might be off, and you can remain flexible to do that. So if you have the desire, fueled by your understanding why it's important, you are willing to be determined and disciplined to do whatever's necessary when it's necessary, and you have a sense of direction, the 3D effect just might be able to help you inch a little bit closer to where it is you want to go, what you want to accomplish. Look at your own example. Think back after you've listened to this and see if one of those areas was missing, why you weren't successful. Did you maybe lose the desire, or forget why it was important, why you were doing what you were doing, or it lost value somehow, or somehow you didn't have the discipline. Maybe you didn't have it growing up and you didn't take the time to develop discipline along the way, because there's things we can do to practice small acts of discipline along the way. Is it possible that you lost your direction because you were following what somebody else was doing, your friends, your peers, family, anybody, following what somebody else was doing, but not really what was in your heart, because you didn't learn to pay attention to the inner voice, the instinct that you have, that we all naturally have in us. Anyway, think about the 3D effect, see if it can help you. And if it can, give it a try, pass it on to somebody else, because it might help somebody else.
Thank you for listening to this CBS podcast short. If you would like to hear more on this topic, please email me at respect@marcusgentry.com. And don't forget to check back for new episodes.